Yeah, I get really bad eyes. I have to take antihistamines.
Oh, good God, yes. Who invented hay fever, eh? Blimey now. Good morning, good people. You're watching Brad's Entertainment. I am joined with a lovely new TikTok creator, the lovely Sophie. Sophie, how are you?
I'm gonna thank you.
I'm fabulous, fabulous. Like I said, Sophie, this is going to be a very chill chat. Find out a little bit
You.
about you and your journey so far. Let's start with who you are and where you're from. Not, you don't have to say exactly where you're from. Any stalkers out here.
So I am Sophie. I'm 32, and I am from Portsmouth.
32 from Portsmouth. Woohoo,
Yeah.
woohoo. And Sophie, what made you start social media?
Um. Well, I started it a while ago just for fun, and then I had 500 TikTokers, and I changed my hair a little bit. I had a weight loss journey, and I thought, oh, I'll put a video of me on, a photo of me on
Mm-hmm.
in the gym, and next thing I knew, it got 50K um views, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then next thing I know, within a space of not even a week, um I have got over 8,000 followers. So
That's impressive. What was that like?
it
What was that like for your like confidence? Like when you see like especially something to do with like your body, your physique, and gym workout and stuff like that, transformation. Like what was that like for your confidence seeing that you had 50,000 views on a video?
it was incredible, and every single comment was actually positive. Like, I got that mindset where someone is always going to be negative somewhere along the line, but no one was, and it was incredible.
Well, you're lucky. Don't I wouldn't rely too much on that because social media, especially TikTok. TikTok, I've learned is a very I've not had too many problems on there to be honest with you. Just occasionally I get the odd one, but a lot of women get like that I've spoken to. They do tend to get a lot of hate, and there is also there's you get these guys that sort of like follow you, like help you out with likes and gifts and all that sort of
Mm,
stuff, and then they sort of like become kind of stalkerish because they think that they think you owe them something, but
mm.
thank God you've not had that just yet anyway. But
No, not just yet. No, but I am prepared for it because I've got that mindset that um there can be some negativity as well. So
yeah, 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 yeah. What are the like when you see TikTok now? Obviously, there's a lot of women on there, a lot of beautiful women and stuff. Do you feel that would that put you off like initially from posting videos and stuff like that? Make feeling comparing yourself to other women and stuff.
when I was 20 stone,
Okay.
yes. Now, no, because at the end of the day, you could have a woman on there, like say, I don't look right at 20 stone, but you could have a woman on there who is 20 stone but looks immaculate, you know. And I think it depends on your confidence as well. If you got confidence, that will go in your favor. And then a personality, it's not always about how you look, to me anyway. If
Hmm.
I'm honest, like if you've got a nice personality and nice persona, I will
Yeah,
follow you no matter what your size, no matter what you look like.
that's cool. Um, Let's go back then, because you mentioned in the messages and stuff like that that you learned to read. You really suffered when you was younger to read and write and stuff, and you overcame that. How did you overcome that?
So I couldn't read and write until I was 17.
Okay.
So I went back to basics. I was reading like Cat, in the Hat, Sam I Am. Sam I Am was a very good medical book to read. I started on those. By the time I'm 17, I actually learned to read. I taught myself because the schools, my mum, they didn't know what to do with me. I used to sit there and get nothing out. So I ended up going into college and failing it 4 times. I didn't pass until I was 21.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so I just kept going. Like, if you fall, you got to pick yourself back up.
Hmm.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, and it was hard work. And then at 21, I met this bloke, and he was incredible. He's still a friend of mine now, classmate as a friend. Um, and I used to memorize numbers, and he turned around to me and he goes, um, here is payroll. And I went, I'm not going to be able to do that. He went, yes, you are. Um, and I worked with him for 7 years, and I did accountancy. Bear in mind,
Wow.
I couldn't read, I couldn't write. And by the time I got my college degree, my AAT in accountancy, they turned around to me, the NHS turned around to me and statemented me with an autistic spectrum disorder, which I was quite annoyed about because I was like, I've struggled all this time and I don't need this now. So I don't use it because I'm like, I don't need it. I have a really good life. I'm blessed. I'm happy. I don't need to use it. I can get a job. Obviously, I'm on maternity leave at the moment. Um, but after I left accountancy, I worked with children with learning disabilities.
Wow,
So,
that's so nice. That's so nice, and it's one of those things. It's like sometimes like you see kids when they're not picking up the basics at school and stuff, and it's just that I think now it's a lot easier with the like people much more aware of like autism and stuff, autism, autistic people being autistic and stuff, and it's a lot easier to sort of treat now. You can see it, like someone that's like not picking up. And but back in the day, like for me, I suffered with that when I was at school. Teachers used to chuck me out of the class all the time and stuff, and
mm,
it was just like I can't just. For some people, they're able just to read something or let a teacher read something to them, and then they got it. For me, I what I learned later on in life is I need to actually see something being done, like and then I can pick it up a lot easier. Like the emergence of YouTube and stuff like that as well for me has been really helpful because it's helped me do so many things, like technical things that like fixing things, like just watching it get done and then going and literally monkey see monkey do kind of. That is kind of how I learned, and it was a lot easier like for me. But I like back in school, like it was just and there's a lot of kids as well that suffer with it, and also as well you can say that they shove too much at you at school, too much stuff that you don't necessarily need to. Obviously, the more you learn, the better for you. But I mean, if someone's struggling with just reading, like no matter if you throw all these different subjects at them, you're not helping them in a
mm,
way. The very basics for me is just teaching that child to read and write. There's so many people leaving school now that can't read and write still, like and they're being left behind a little bit because they're having to do all these other subjects, like they can't even grasp the basics. S- Sorry, you getting a phone call?
it's my mum.
Oh, what a
But yeah,
mum! What a mum! What a mum's like, eh? They're always getting in the way of a good interview, eh?
yeah, they seem to, they seem to call you at the most inconvenient times. And I phoned her just before we went on this, and I said, "Do not call me. Whatever you do, do not phone me."
All right, mum's
And
on
what did she go do?
mum's on blast now. We'll post this clip out there. You can send it to your mum. So I
I
mean,
actually will.
and then obviously one of the other things you mentioned was it something to do with your sexuality as well? Something that you mentioned.
Yes, I am bisexual. Yeah. Um, I'm a I'm a believer in personality. So if I'm attracted to someone, it's usually them as a person, not them as physically. I need that mental connection before I get with someone. And I've been with men and women. And to me, it doesn't matter about gender. I'm all for the LGBT community as well. So I'm going to
Okay.
Pride on Saturday.
Okay. Okay. I would actually like to cover it. I would like to go and cover it, but I have seen one or two, like a few people did go, like a few straight people that on social media did go to cover it as well, and one of the guys actually said that he witnessed men giving each other fellatio in the streets in front of children and stuff like that, and he was like really put off by it. I don't know if that's
Mm,
true, but that is what did come out, and I don't know. What's your is this going to be your first one or
no, I go every year. So
okay? And you've never seen anything like that.
no, I mean I've seen people kiss now and there, but
Okay.
nothing like that. No, I think even for that's really inappropriate. There's a time and a place for that. That's not something you do. And generally, I've never seen anything like that happen
Okay.
myself. So it could just be a personal experience. But
Yeah.
out of the years I've been going every year. Obviously, I went post COVID, and then COVID hit. And then since 2021 till now, I've been going every single year.
Okay. Okay. No, I
But
would
it's
like
a
to
really
cover it.
nice
So,
atmosphere.
yeah, I would like to go and cover one. To be honest with you, just to, like to interview people and stuff. But it seems like it would be quite cool. Um, but yeah, you never know.
You never know, no.
You mentioned you know you're big for the LGBT and the trans movement and stuff. At the minute, social media is going crazy with trans athletes competing against women. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't believe in that, to be honest, because when you get a say for example, um, me and you went swimming,
Yeah,
you're gonna beat me because you're made for that. And I think the physique biological man, even though he's trans as a woman, is still biologically there. That's my personal opinion. I do have some trans friends, but I do believe that, women only should be put in the swim team. I do believe that, and men should be put in the swim team. I don't put a woman who's turned into a man's swim team because it won't work. They
yeah,
won't win. They won't have that chance. And then a man, if you put a man into a women's setting, then they are going to win because men are built bigger and stronger at certain sports.
yeah, yeah.
That's just biology for you, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you said that beautifully, and you know, a lot of people like, you know, there's no malice in that, you know, especially when you've got trans communities around you. Obviously, you know, I do try and see it from their perspective because they want to fit in and stuff, and I don't think people are trying to be horrible or anything, but I feel like sometimes there is just a little bit of basic common sense, like, you know, and imagine if we just opened the window for this, open the window and just said, like, you know, fine, we'll let trans women compete against women, compete against biological women in all sports potentially in 10 years I know it's not it's not a massive issue right now, it's like one or two or something like that in every other little sport or whatever, but I feel like in 10 years time, if we allowed this to continue, you could you could eventually have a podium with just trans women on it collecting all the medals, and then that would certainly put off biological women from wanting to compete in certain sports, because imagine you've got, like, you know, when you speak to athletes and stuff like that, they're very competitive and driven people. So I feel like that would deter someone knowing that they're going to have to be not only they're going to have to be almost superhuman to compete against someone like that. And then that's the end of the sport, especially when it comes to combat stuff like that, you know, combat sports, like, you know, you'd think that's just a no-brainer, wouldn't you? But just I don't know, it's gone a bit mental, the world.
Yeah. See, I'm all for it. If you want to turn into a
Yeah,
man and you want to identify as that, that is all women.
yeah,
That's fine. I'll support you. But when it comes to the sports, when you look at it, the biology side, you can't mess with that. You
yeah.
can't mess with
I,
science,
yeah, I feel like it's just basic common sense sometimes as well with it, and you know, it upsets so many. It does upset people when they hear it, but it's just like for me personally as well, women should decide. Like, it's gonna affect women. Women should decide. Like, you know, I'm all for trans women for like living their lives, living a beautiful life, not hurting anyone. I was having a conversation with it the other day. Like, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that are very homophobic towards them, hiding some secret tendencies, secret desires that they're suppressing and stuff like that. You know, it's, you know, the trans community has become a fetish for straight men, like it has, like, you know, on the low key sort of, you know, so, and then, you know, but they outwardly they have to portray a sort of macho, no, they're horrible and they're this and they're that, you know, but yeah, yeah, we went off one there, didn't we?
yeah, just a tad. Yeah.
So what do you look forward to in life? What keeps you going now?
Um,
Obviously you just had a
my daughter.
you just had a child as well, so how was that,
Yeah.
then?
Yeah, good. I mean, she's really calm. My daughter really, I don't want her to struggle like I did. I know it could happen.
Yeah,
I'm very aware that obviously, genetics, there's a lot of autism that run in my family. Obviously mine's not socially, I'm not socially awkward, as you can tell, I'm not socially awkward at all. You wouldn't know.
yeah,
Mine's more academic, so I'm just concerned that I do everything in my power to make her learn things and stuff. But what keeps me going now is my daughter. Um, and I just think I've actually written her a book as well.
Wow.
It was meant to be published, but I was like, do you know what? I don't want it to be because that's my personal story.
Wow.
It's all about obviously me as a person, me not being able to read and write, me getting bullied, um, for the way I look and stuff like that. Me being big, and how I went about it in the appropriate way. It's everything that I've been through for her to look back when she's 16. That's when I'm going to give it to her.
Wow.
I didn't expect to write it so quickly, but when I was pregnant with her, I started writing. And I remember I actually writ, and I writ the date. Um, the date was March 2024. I think it was 13th of March 2024. It's 13th of March 2024, and I know you're a girl. And I found out she was a girl in May last
Wow.
year.
Wow. Wow.
So I just had that feeling. I was like, I know she's going to be a girl. Um, and yeah, so I actually writ that, dated and signed everything.
That's impressive. Would you? I mean, you mentioned that you were 20 stones. Do you say?
hmm
What was that? What was that like then? Did this gradually go on over years, or did you just? I don't know. Were you always? Would you say you was always sort of like a you know?
I wouldn't say that, no. So obviously, um, I was probably a little bit chunkier, but nothing major. But obviously, I got with a certain person that liked takeaways for obvious reasons. I won't get into that too much.
Yep.
And obviously, I just ate and ate, and I just got on scales one day, and I was 20 stone. And I remember sitting there thinking, I can't do this. And I just ended up going to the gym. I lost all my weight in 2018. Well, not all of it. I need to tone up now because I've had a baby, but um, I lost it all in 2018. And I started in 2016 to lose
Nice.
it and lost it in 2018.
Wow. So
So
a 2 year transition of just like going to the gym then and eating healthy and stuff.
yeah, it was hard work. It was really hard work, but I
Uh,
got there, and obviously I found in carrying my baby, I didn't put any weight on at all. But obviously where I didn't train, I'm like, I need to tone up, and I go to the gym nearly every day as
wow.
much as I can. I'm lucky I've got great grandparents. She's got a great dad. Um, and I could just go when I please, really. So I'm lucky there. As long as I'm an hour or two, they don't mind keeping her for an hour or two a day. So that's not an issue. Obviously, her dad will have her all day, so
Fair enough. Fair enough.
which is great. I could just leave as and when I want to. But I wouldn't change being a parent for the world. It can be difficult, but she's been great. I mean, she slept 9.5 hours a night since she was born.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. My brother's just had a little one as well, actually, and I think they've just got into a routine of getting. I think they get about 7 hours good sleep, and oh my god, when they're young, that sleep time is just it's just valid. It's just so helpful, isn't it? When you can just lay your head down and just go to sleep. Like people that don't have children don't really understand it until they actually have them. Like because when you don't have children, you can literally just you can literally just do you can just go to sleep, you don't have to worry about it. But like when you've got a baby, every like you're on alert all the time, and it's just like getting that little like getting even 4 hours for me, getting 4 hours solid sleep is like heaven.
Really?
Yeah,
See,
back in
I
the
have to, she's like me. So I like 9.5 hours, and I think she's just likes 9.5 hours. But have woken up, and she has just looked at me. So she's not really a crier unless she's hungry or needs a nappy change. Um, she won't just cry to get attention. Um, that's not who she is, and I was preparing myself for that. But I'm just happy that I'm older having a baby than 20. I wouldn't be able to do this at 20. because the way I was, I wouldn't be able to do it. I know that some people can, like my sister, she brought up my niece, she's 18 now. She did a really good job with her, and she was 22. But me mentally, and where I was at 22 or even 20, I couldn't do it. So I
Yeah.
think 31 was a great age for me to have a baby.
Well,
So I would recommend, if someone wants to live their life and carry on, 31 is just the best age because you're settled, you know what you're about, you know who you are.
yeah.
But that's my personal opinion. I mean, I've met some young mums and they're brilliant.
Mm.
But me as a mum at 20, no,
Mm.
wouldn't be a good idea.
Okay, okay. All right. I said I'll make it short and sweet for you. It's been fabulous. It's been fabulous you sharing your lovely insight to your life and stuff. I'll leave it with you. Just that final message to people out there that may be struggling to lose weight, or people out there struggling like to even just to read and write. Like, what would your advice be?
Just carry on. You will get there eventually. If you fall, get yourself back up and do it again. That's what you've got to do, because if you want something and you want something that much, you will do it eventually. It could take time.
hmm I think that's so important as well for people to realize that whenever you try to do something, if you're expecting the success, if you're expecting it to happen straight away, you're only going to disappoint yourself. Like, just like they
Hmm.
say with these people with these crash diets, I should tell myself that really. Like, you think you're going to be able to just jump on these crash diets or whatever, and then, like, see results. And what ends up happening is either you get the results and then you lose the weight and then it comes back on, or you just give up on it eventually. So that consistency, give yourself time. Like, like it took you 2 years to get to lose that 20 stone. So,
Hmm.
do you know what I mean? That was a gradual process of going to the gym and doing it properly. So bang on that, bang on that. Sophie, thank you very much for talking. Don't be a stranger. I'll look forward to having you on again soon, and we'll definitely organise something.
Okay.